Sorry to interrupt this video for this awesome giveaway. All right, guys. So we're giving away some Vortex binos. You look like you could use some free binos. Do you like free binos? Do you like free hunting gear? Well, you're in the right place. We're gonna give away a lot of it. We're gonna start with a pair of Vortex binos. So in order to win these Vortex binos, it's not that hard, guys. All you gotta do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and you can even comment below for extra entries. So we're gonna be giving away a pair of Vortex binos for now, but don't worry, if you don't win the Vortex binos, we're gonna keep giving stuff away. We're looking to ramp this channel up fast. So the faster we get more subscribers, the faster we start giving away stuff. Do you want a new bow? We're gonna be giving away a new bow. There's a whole list of things that we're gonna be giving away. This is just the first. So if you get entered now, you're gonna be entered for all future giveaways. So like I said, guys, we're gonna give away a pair of Vortex binos very soon. We only got a handful of subscribers to go until we get to our goal. When we get there, we're gonna announce it. We'll probably do another video announcing who the winner is and give away some free stuff. So if you guys want a pair of Vortex binos, maybe a bow in the future, or a lot of other cool gear, hit the subscribe button, make sure you're liking these videos, and also comment for extra entries. So simple as that. If you like free stuff, do it. All right, guys, this might be one of those topics that I don't know if it's gonna hurt any feelings, but it's gonna change a lot of opinions on the right way to age deer. There are a lot of, I'm not gonna call them myths, there are a lot of different ways that we've been told to age deer based on body features and things of that sort over the years. And it can be a good guesstimation when it comes to figuring out how old deer are, but it's nothing more than that. It's a guesstimation. So we talk about the sway in the back. We talk about, does the neck come to the chest? Are the front shoulders bigger than the hind quarters? And those are all characteristics that we use to ultimately try and age deer on the hoof. I've heard, are the antler bases as big as the eyeball? Then it's a 3-year-old deer. There's a lot of different strategies that people tend to use on the hoof, and I think that in some cases they can get you close. But in other cases, there's really, it's a guess. And because we've come up with these characteristics as to what to look for over the years, we feel confident in our age guesstimation. But a lot of times I think if we were to get our deer age, which I would recommend doing so that we can learn more about our deer, you're gonna find that you're probably inaccurate a lot of the time. And I have reasons to back this up. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not just coming up with this stuff out of who knows where. We're gonna get into this a little bit deeper. So when it comes to aging deer on the hoof, I think about it this way. I might be a 40-year-old male, and there might be another 40-year-old male, but we might look completely different. We might have completely different body types. We might have completely different body structures. We might have different eating habits. There's a lot of different variables. We might have bad genetics. We might, like I said, there's a lot of different variables. So now if you translate that into the whitetail world, let's talk about bad genetics. Well, your antlers might not develop, and if you look at antlers to age deer, which has been, talked about not to be the most accurate way, but maybe you do, whether through mass or things like that, maybe that's not accurate because every deer is a bit different. If we're looking at body weight, I know of a deer personally that I hunted, and I could probably post some pictures if I can pull them up out of the archives of a deer that I was hunting. And his body type told me at one point of the year that deer was probably, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I thought this deer could be a 2-year-old deer. Now that was in the November time frame in which he very well could have lost and did lose up to 30% of his body weight. But the way he was structured, he just looked different. And even out of the rut, this buck was a big barrel-chested deer that looked like a bodybuilder. There was a similar deer of similar age class that I was also hunting that they hung out together in the summers, okay? That deer was your typical big gut, sway in the back, mature deer. Those deer, to my knowledge, were both the same age class or close. And how I can assume that is I watched the deer grow up. I literally watched these deer for a handful of years to figure out that they were at least within a year or two of 5 to 6 years old. So these deer straight up had different body types. And now let's go back to what I was getting to before, is talking about this one deer that I've called Longtail. And maybe some of you are familiar if you've seen some other videos or follow me on social media, but this Longtail buck, He looked one way at the end of October, he looked another way by the second week of November, and into December he looked like a different deer. I would say he was definitely mature in October if it was the first time I ever saw him. If it was the first time I ever saw him November 15th, I would say that's a 2-year-old deer. And if I would have saw him in late December for the first time ever, I would have said he was a 3-year-old deer. Same deer, just different body changes throughout the year, and just maybe a different body type than other deer. So now some of these other reasons or things that we've been taught over the year to look at certain characteristics in that situation would have been a complete fail. So why are those things a complete fail? There has to be a reason. Brett, what are you getting at? You got to have some answer to this solution. Okay, so the next thing that we lean on is once we mature a deer is the molar wear. We get the molar wear maybe tested or looked at by somebody who has experience looking at molar wear. Well, in fact, there's been research done by I believe it's the Montana DNR that shows that that's only 43% accurate molar wear. So if that's inaccurate, and that's the way that we've always kind of leaned on to really know and make sure, let's say we've watched a deer and we think he's a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, and then we take him in to get his molars, the molar wear looked at, and that was definitely going to tell us. Now, if that's not the way, then what is it? There's something called centenum annuli, and maybe I'm saying that wrong, but anyway, it's probably the most accurate way to age your deer. Now let's face the facts. Doing it on the hoof, it just might not be possible, guys, unless you have history with these deer. You've watched them for years, and let's go back for a second. If it's pretty easy to tell if they're a 1 or 2-year-old deer, 3-year-old maybe. After that point, it's a real big toss-up. So if you can go back and you can say, hey, I got pictures of this deer during this time of the year. It's consistent on a yearly basis. This is what he looks like. This is what he grew into. Maybe he's got a notch in the ear. Maybe he's got some feature that you can tell that's the same deer. Sure, I'll buy that all day long. But otherwise on the hoof, it's very hard. So let's go back to this alternative method now. We're not talking about molar wear anymore. We're talking about centenum annuli. Like I said, I could be saying this wrong. But basically what that method is they'll actually do the same thing when it comes to aging a tree. So they'll cut it and they'll look for the rings. So now if you actually cut into that tooth, and there's actually gonna be rings in that tooth, and through those rings, you can pretty much almost, not guarantee, but have the most accurate result when it comes to trying aging your deer. Those amount of rings are gonna tell you how old that deer is. Once again, I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it was the Montana DNR. They compared the molar wear versus this other method when it comes to accuracy, and 83% of the time they were correct when it came to aging deer through this method. And they were only off within 1 year when they were incorrect. So at the end of the day, guys, there is a scientific way that we can age deer. We do now know that. But the book needs to be rewritten when it comes to aging deer. The sway in the back, the barrel chest, the neck to the chest, does it grow in properly? The circumference of an antler, the gut. I mean, there's a million different things. How dark are his tarsal glands? These things are all indications to help you get maybe within age class range, but maybe not. There's certain deer that I hunt that I would look at them in December and I would say, I know, like I said, that's probably a 3-year-old, just based off of the body features. Well, maybe that buck covered a lot more area during the rut. Maybe he's way more worn down. There's a lot of different variables, and ultimately that changes on a deer-to-deer basis, kind of like it would for humans. Like I said, every 40-year-old human, every 30-year-old human, every 20-year-old human does not look the same. We all look a little bit different, and obviously deer are a little bit more likely to have a lot of the same patterns, habits, and things like that, but not necessarily genetics. And so trying to age deer on the hoof, it can be nearly impossible unless you have history with those deer. But if you really want to get an accurate representation or get a good example of what a deer's age class might be, getting this aging of the tooth by cutting it open, seeing the rings in it, that's probably the most accurate way, and that's probably what we should all start leaning on if we really want to know the age of our deer. Taking our deer in and getting them aged properly, not just by molar wear, by actually going into the tooth and counting the rings, because that is the most accurate way to do it, and maybe not doing it on the hoof. So for those of you guys that have been aging them on the hoof, I mean, still keep doing it. It's all we have as of right now is using some of those things we've learned in the past, but at the same time know that you could be off if you don't have a lot of history with that deer. So now at least you guys know that there is a more accurate way to age deer, just maybe not on the hoof. So if you guys like this video, make sure that you're liking and subscribing. We're coming out with a handful of videos every single week on everything from whitetail habitat to hunting and everything you can imagine. So if you guys like what you're seeing, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button.